Good afternoon. Welcome to the plantation. I'm your host, Slave Master Lucian. Firstly and foremost, from my last video, mentioned World Mental Health Day, and I never thought that I'm going to actually talk about my mental health. And I feel that it is important that there are people out there that gets to know about mental health. Mental health is very important, very, very important. Why I say so? Your mental health can be weakened through various means and ways. For example, let me just move forward. So, mental health can be weakened through structural means. Structural means meaning that in the workplace, yes, I know lots of people are battling with a lot of personal issues. Lots of people are battling with a lot of non personal issues. And lots of people are also battling with mental issues as well. And throughout COVID has laid this situation bare for itself because we need to understand what is the purpose of working versus what is the purpose of enslavement. And I say this, yes, to some it's fantastic because you are being productive, you are working, you are constantly delivering on your KPIs, you are one of the most astute and hardworking employees. But when it comes to your mental health, this is where it's critical because I feel that a large portion of employers maybe miss the boat on this one. Why do I say so? Is that you'll have an employee work hard, constantly deliver on the outcomes and the objectives. However, further down the line, that employee no longer feels the value, no longer feels that the contribution that is made consciously and also physically in the working environment doesn't result to improve mental behavior, improve mental stability, and also improve mental strength during the lifetime of that employee's tenure. Automatically their mental strength is weakened. Now, according to one of the Buddha's teachings, we need to understand that in order for the physical environment that needs to change, or you wish for that change to happen, it needs to happen at the mental level first. So you need to believe in the vision, and you need to believe in yourself, and you need to also believe in that in order for your physical environment to change, you have to manifest it mentally first so that it manifests in the physical environment, and then automatically your entire perspective changes. Now you have many hardworking people out there that are suffering from extreme mental issues. Let me tell you about my journey. I worked at a plantation, and it's one of South Africa's prominent multinational companies. Now me, I'm a critical, independent, free thinker. I read books, I do research, I engage domestic and international audience through various means. That is through my writing on Medium and also through my newly started channel on YouTube called Plantation. Now the reason for the plantation, the name itself, even though it's derived from the slavery movement in the United States as well as also African colonialism. The plantation itself is an iconic representation of the mental struggle that Africans had to endure, as well as, let's not forget, the transatlantic slave movement that happened in America as well. Now, on the mental side of things, I was working for a multinational corporation, and yes, I was delivering exceptional on my key performance indicators. They call this KPIs, in inverted commas, KPIs, key performance indicators. Now, these are a set of norms and standards that an employee needs to adhere to based upon the operational efficiency and deliverables of the company that you're working for. Now, this is basically what happened throughout that period. Firstly, the employer makes, I would say, part and parcel involved in one of South Africa's most disastrous corporate acquisitions. That was the first area where things went wrong. Then, in addition to that, the very same employer then decided to restructure itself. Basically, a large portion of human functions, or should I say, areas in the organization where human intervention is possible, that's now automated. So that means no human input is required because these processes can be automated. So in turn, that means the humans that are falling into that particular category that are undergoing automation and digitization will result in either one of the two options. It's either you are asked to cut short your employment through early retrenchment, or alternatively, maybe shift you elsewhere in the enterprise based upon your skill level and based upon your experience, of course, etc., etc. Now, that on its own is already a disturbing situation. Just think of it like this. The very same employer employed you to perform a duty to deliver on the outcomes and the objectives that are set for the multinational company to remain viable and operational efficient. However, that very same employer then asks you, due to automation and digitization of certain functions in the company, we're therefore asking you to either take early retrenchment. Now, put that into the psychology of a human being. You're working, and just out of nowhere, bang on the money, you get asked, look, it's either early retrenchment or based upon skills and based upon contribution and tenure in the company, we could potentially move you. Now, bear in mind, there are two negatives on this. First and foremost, when you're being asked to leave or take up early retrenchment, that's psychologically damaging on its own. Secondly, imagine getting placed into a department or into a area whereby your expertise are now even less valued. For example, that's like taking a chemical engineer and asking a chemical engineer to go answer telephone calls and deal with billing inquiries. That defeats the entire purpose. So those are two negative relationships. First, the early retrenchment. Second, the misplacement of your skills and contribution in a environment that is not suited to your strengths. That is already two negative relationships and also two constantly mental problems that you will have to deal with further down the line. Now, throughout my tenure for this multinational company, it was amazing. Yes, I'm a strong person, I'm a strong man, and yes, I have built a level of resilience. But bear in mind, no one bothered to pay attention to my mental strength. And this is where it all crashed. The company made a disastrous corporate acquisition, probably one of the biggest, or should I say the biggest corporate failure in the history of South Africa. Completely fucking disastrous. To make matters worse, that very same money that was channeled down a stupid and silly business acquisition resulted in the company enduring more losses down the line, more restructuring further down the line, and then, to make matters worse, eroding the value, or should I say long-term value that could have been gained had the initial investment become more transparent, more convenient for the employees, had the initial investment also become more growth driven so that you can see tangible change not only at the top but also at the bottom line as well. That never happened. So in my tenure for this multinational corporation, I call them out on their shit. So I basically call them out on their bullshit. They tried to silence me. Firstly and foremost, they tried to silence me by awarding me with some ridiculous 12-month final written warnings for what I said and for calling out the executives of a multinational company and stating this without fear and without favor. And as an employee of an organization like this, shame on you, the board, shame on you, the executives. And then eventually someone took all these snapshots from all these comments that I made on a particular platform that basically had industry leaders on there and other multinational companies on that very same platform. And because me calling out their bullshit for the disastrous decision they've made, I get called into a situation because guess what? I cannot say these type of things. That's where my mental state started slowly deteriorating. Then second to that, the very same employer made me go through early retrenchment because my function and my capacity in the area I was working in, the enterprise, automatically resulted in digitization and automation. So in all fairness, they call this last in, first out LIFO process. That was followed. Now because the organization prided itself with people's values, they didn't want to let me go. Then I ended up in a different area in the business and then automatically became permanent in that role. More stress upon stress. Up until my end period working for this organization, my mental state was 10 times worse off. Yes, company performs, company is liable, and company is subjected to publish their annual financial results. Yes, on paper, for a lot of people, it looks great. The company is making revenue, the company is making profits. But at the back end, at what cost of your bottom line? At what cost of your employees' mental capabilities? At what cost? Because, yes, you can prioritize mental awareness. You can have a month out of the year. We call this wellness. But that is just another ticking box exercise because I cannot say that these successful or so-called wellness programs actually materialize and actually transition the employees to make their conscious mental state even more improved and more well-balanced and more strong. No, it doesn't. Because it's only happening in a sporadic period throughout the year, once or twice a year, and that's it. It's a ticking box exercise. There is nothing fruition about it. There is nothing valuable about it because overall it's a program for employees to partake in, and then second to that, it's also a benefit to look towards your peers that, hey, we are addressing mental health. But meanwhile, COVID has exposed the stark nakedness of corporations that actually don't give a fuck. Just like the politicians don't give a fuck about the mental health of their citizens. They don't. So the same thing applies as corporations. They don't give a fuck about people's mental health. They can put what on paper and say all these programs, all these interventions have all these counseling, etc., etc. Sometimes people don't fucking need counseling. People need a fucking intervention at the psychological and at the spiritual and at the physical level. If you're telling people we have a program, we have counseling, we have support, no. Slave owner, no. Slave master, the fucking slaves do not need these type of things. Sometimes you just feel that they need to be listened to unobjectively, non-subjective. That's what they need, but yet employees fail to miss the mark, and this is why you have the bad state of mental affairs of a large portion of people in this country. Not only politically destroying us mentally, but there's the cost of living that is killing us mentally. There is our friendships that's killing us mentally. There is our working environment that is completely destroying us mentally. There are family relations that are destroying us mentally. It's just like a toxic person, a toxic partner. Yes, your employer wants you to do X, Y, and Z, and in the same breath, that environment in which they expect you to act in does not conform, neither does it allow your strengths to grow. So what happens with your mental strength? You go further down the motherfucking rabbit hole. And yes, my journey has been extreme, fucking extreme. I never thought that my channel will basically be birthed from a negative working environment. I never thought that I will sit this day or at any given time, I will have this conversation in the open and share it with the community that I engage. I never thought that I would be able to speak out because guess what, as men, we don't talk about mental issues, not a large portion of us, because we are told to be strong, we are told to be We are told to be, well, I can't say this, well, let me just say it. We are told to act like gods, like nothing will happen to us. And this is the problem we have. We've got the same problem in the workplace, killing people mentally off, because guess what? You've got responsibilities of bills, you've got responsibilities of X, Y, and Z to take care of, but yet the main thing that you should be taking care of is your mental health. Now, my story with me trying to be silenced, with me trying to be pushed aside, to make matters worse, with me also not even evolving into transitioning from one job into another where I could advance my skills, that also plays mentally on you as an individual. So that defeats the purpose. It doesn't matter how good you perform. It doesn't matter how great your rating is. It doesn't matter how likable you are by management in a corporation. It doesn't matter if you get along with everyone and anyone. And it doesn't matter if your stance and approach, the motherfuckers might hate you in the organization because this nigga talks too much. This guy is very critical. It doesn't matter. From point 1 to 5, that shit doesn't matter. If people do not wish for you to evolve, they will fucking take you like an open hand and shut you down like a closed fist. And then you ask yourself this question: all the effort and all the knowledge and all the skills I've acquired, yet why am I not evolving? Because guess what? Your slave masters and your slave owners don't wish for you to evolve, and they don't want critical, free-thinking people. They always want people to always accept the way things should be and how things should be versus what things could be and potentially what can come from should things go in that way. That is what they not wish for, and that is definitely not something they want. And this is why we have a large portion of people in such a severe mental state in the working class in South Africa that no one fucking pays attention to this. Everyone tells us, no, go to work, do your job, do this, do that. But ask yourself this motherfucking question: when are you going to set yourself free for the sake of a job? When are you going to set yourself free psychologically for the sake of a fucking superior? When are you going to set yourself free for the sake of a fucking manager? When are you going to set yourself free for the sake of a fucking multinational company? When are you going to set yourself free for the sake of a politician that doesn't give a fuck about its citizens? When are you going to set yourself free from a fucking government that doesn't give a fuck about us that pay taxes? When are you going to set yourself free? Why? Because guess what? The moment you arrive at the fucking plantation, they'll make sure that you never leave. And when you do leave, you are fucking replaceable. Don't think you are Beyonce. Oh, fuck no. That's never going to happen. If a corporation lets you go, or a corporation tells you, you know what, we've had enough of your shit, thank you, take your bags, get the fuck out of here, they will find another android to replace you. And that will tell you, was your time and experience valued, or was your time and experience just on paper, okay, he's there, let's move on? Because in many instances, people are either worse off mentally from leaving these corporations, or they die. Now, Dr. Miles Monroe says this: without fear and without favor, the biggest tragedy in life is a life without, it's not death itself, but a life without a purpose. Now, do you want to wake up without a purpose? Do you not want to be found living your purpose and acting in that purpose? Should that not be the joy of life? Or is your purpose to remain at the plantation until you fucking die? So this goes out to a lot of people that are facing all these mental issues, that don't talk about it. Have the courage to talk about it, even if you don't want to talk about your manager, because guess what? Some people just make you feel, fuck, you can't trust him. They treat you like you're some kind of a fucking victim. So if you can't take it to your superior, take it to God. Take it to your spiritual healer. Take it to someone that understands, that experiences what you are experiencing. And if your friends cannot help you, fuck your friends. They're not mentally capable of handling you on that level. So to all my People that are dealing with these things, that are not talking about it. What I want you to do without fear and without favor, speak up. Just like we are fucking tired of all the shit happening in the country, so does the real person in you tell you, speak up, enough is enough. This is not the person that you have destined to become. You haven't decided to become a loser. You weren't destined to become a loser. So why should you let external forces create the loser in you? No. Speak out. Let it go. And if there's trauma involved in that same mental well-being that is required for you to live that amazing and abundant life, then I say take it to God. Take it to spirituality. Take it to your consciousness. Take it to your creator. Take it to your some divine consciousness that you want to reach out to. Because in all fairness, if man fails us as people, the government is not going to save you. The fucking multinational corporations are not going to save you. You have to save your fucking self. And while you can do it, do not give into these fucking plantations. Don't. Because in the end, the moment you leave a plantation, they will find another fucking slave to replace you. While you're at it, free yourself mentally, free yourself consciously, and free yourself spiritually, so that the next generations that come from this engagement will not experience the same mental trauma that we had to go through and endure. So my word goes out to all these loving fucking great people that are working in the working class of South Africa, whether formal or informal. Don't let your fucking slave masters and your slave owners take control of your generational conscious, because after all, the only thing that you have in this fucking world and in this fucking country is yourself, your conscious, your mind, and your vision. When you get to that point in life where you have manifested that mental change, share that positivity and share that growth with all the rest of the slaves that are still captured and caught up at the plantation. And one thing I pray for you guys, brothers and sisters, do not find yourself at a plantation again. Because while you're at it, free your mind, free your consciousness, and free your spirit. Once you've freed those things, only then will we be able to manifest that physical change in the environment that we want, and the person and people that we embody and that we would like in our space will manifest. Happy Sunday, slaves. Thank you for listening to this vlog, and thank you for visiting the plantation.